Hi, I'm Mo, and I wish I can dance like Michael Jeter.
And I'm TJ, and I wanted to record this show while lying naked in Central Park and looking at the clouds, but Mo vetoed that.
Told you, TJ, we got arrested last time, okay?
So I am fully clothed and not too thrilled about it.
Fine, whatever, we'll do it. We're naked.
All right, just like that.
Yeah, just like that. And this is...
It's still new to us, damn it.
Welcome to It's Still New to Us, damn it. I am Mo, this is TJ, as we just said, and we are here to watch every movie ever made to become the smartest people in the universe.
We're better than you, and there's nothing wrong with admitting that you're not as good as us.
Yes, as MJF, the wrestler, says, well, I'm better than you, and you know it.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Okay, TJ, what's the film we're doing today?
Well, today we're looking at The Fisher King. This was one of the movies that I picked. It was written
Is this
by...
movie about fishing?
Yeah, no, not in the
Okay.
slightest. Not in the
I
slightest.
watched
I was
them.
very... ESPN 4.
Yeah.
This one was written by Richard LeGravenese and directed by the one and only Terry Gilliam.
Okay, well, are you saying that he did not write this, Terry Gilliam?
He did not, and therefore he is not
An artiste.
a
What?
true...
Auteur. Why are we doing this film, TJ, if he's not a true auteur?
Well, because unfortunately we still have to watch every movie ever made. And
That's true.
Might as well get this one out of the way.
That's true.
Even if,
Yeah.
I'm a little disappointed in Mr. Gilliam for not writing this one himself. You just went over, what were Terry Gilliam's 3 rules?
3 rules were, let's see if I can find them real quick. Let's see. Oh, here they are. Okay, so Terry Gilliam's 3 rules in life when it comes to filmmaking are: he never do any script but his own, he never worked for a major studio, and he never worked in America. And he violated all 3 to make
So,
it.
yeah, so this one he used another person's script, he filmed in New York, and he
He was a major
TriStar.
studio.
It was a TriStar Pictures
Yeah.
movie. But you know what? We'll forgive him. This is later on in his middle, I guess, of his career, 1991.
Yeah, oh, it's too late. I already sent a package of dog do to his house, so
That's
he
right.
now he hates us.
It's
so.
just fun and harmless.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, Terry Gilliam is a member of the Monty Python troupe.
Yes,
he is
Dr.
usually the guy that's... He doesn't usually talk as much. He was Patsy, the guy with the coconut shells and
Yeah.
the Holy Grail. He was Arthur's
He's
scribe.
an animator. He animated the
He did all the animated stuff for
Yeah.
Monty Python, correct.
He also directed many other movies.
Great movies, too. 12 Monkeys is one of them.
Brazil,
which you've seen.
Brothers Grimm, which I don't think
I think that's probably on his lower.
Yeah.
I don't think that one's
Yeah.
considered one of his highest
On
ones.
my notes, I have it as Brothers Grimm because I spelled it wrong.
Excellent. I do remember that coming to theaters. It's like Heath Ledger and Matt Damon
I think
or
so,
something
yeah.
along those lines.
Definitely.
But anyway, there will be obviously spoilers for this, The Fisher King,
Yeah.
in this podcast. But we're excited to talk about it.
Yeah. So the man who wrote this is Richard, I'm going to try to pronounce his name, Lagravnis, I believe.
Legranavis.
Lagravnis, yes.
Yeah.
Wrote The Bridges of Madison County and the movie Beautiful Creatures, which is probably his most film. But he also wrote many other movies that are actually really good. So he has some, what's the word I'm looking for?
Some hits, some
Some
duds.
hits, some miss, but who doesn't, of course.
Yeah.
Definitely. Once again, this movie starring Robin Williams from World According to God, which I actually really want to see.
Me too. We'll
Yeah.
put that on the next list.
Yeah, definitely. And Old Dogs,
I know he was very, very proud of that movie.
definitely.
Yeah.
Jeff Bridges, Starman, R.I.P.D.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
Mercedes Ruehl from Big and The Minus Man, which was a Owen Wilson thriller.
Yeah.
I think he was trying to be the Invisible Man. I'm
Okay.
pretty sure. And Amanda Plummer from Pulp Fiction and Made in Heaven.
Correct.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Michael Jeter, of course, from Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, and Patch Adams.
Yeah, he was good. I liked him in this. But we'll
Yeah.
get to him.
Mhm.
I'll give a quick synopsis if you're ready.
Yeah, go ahead.
Alrighty. Hotshot New York City radio host Jack Lucas finds himself depressed and suicidal after some of his insensitive remarks lead to a mass shooting at a local bar by a deranged caller. 3 years after the tragedy, Jack is living with his girlfriend Anne above the video store she owns. One night, while on a bender, Jack readies himself to commit suicide when he is attacked and accosted by some rowdy teenagers who mistake him for a homeless person. In the nick of time, however, he is rescued by Perry in full homeless man knight's armor. And Perry is a homeless man who does believe he's a knight. Perry insists that Jack is the one, quote-unquote, that can help him on his mission. That mission? To find the Holy Grail, which Perry believes to be in the possession of a wealthy local architect. Jack escapes back to Anne, but not before learning that Perry was a once-respected college teacher who witnessed his wife's grisly murder at the hands of the shooter Jack accidentally inspired. Racked with guilt, Jack and Anne work to rehabilitate Perry and help him find love in a young woman with whom he's infatuated. In the end, some hilarity and some drama ensue.
Sure.
So yeah, I had no knowledge of this movie until very recently.
Yeah.
When I was looking, I was just probably floating around Wikipedia and saw Terry Gilliam and was reading about him. Yeah. And then a little background. My favorite movie of all time is The Big Lebowski.
Yeah.
If there's one celebrity whose death will actually affect me emotionally, it is Jeff Bridges. Mm-hmm. I think he's one of the most naturally talented actors I've ever seen in my life. I think he just seems like, from on a personal level, he just seems like a really cool guy.
Yeah, I think in interviews he is. I remember listening to one interview back in the day, how he was talking to the host about marriage and stuff like that. So he seems a cool guy.
Yeah, like just a real guy, and you don't hear anything bad about him.
No.
And then Robin Williams, I mean, what else can you say about him? He was great. My first movie ever seen in theaters was Aladdin, so I always have gravitated to Robin Williams because obviously he's the star of that movie.
Yeah.
But did you know anything about this one?
Okay, so the only thing I knew about this movie was from trailers. When growing up and now, sometimes I just binge on trailers, so I just watch so many trailers I don't even know what to do with. So that's how basically I get movies for movies I want to watch and stuff like that. And I watched the Fisher King trailer, and I just always want to see it. So now, luckily, we are getting to see it, and I'm happy I did. We'll get into that later, but that's basically how I know about the Fisher King. I know Terry Gilliam from Monty Python, of course. I watched some of his stuff. I watched a little bit of stuff from Monty Python, watched The Holy Grail, watched The Life of Brian, of course. And yeah, Jeff Bridges, I wasn't really... Well, I wouldn't say I wasn't a fan of Jeff Bridges. I didn't hate Jeff Bridges, but I didn't really realize Jeff Bridges. Like, I didn't really discover his films that much. I mean, I've seen Tron, and I think that's mostly it. Like, I haven't seen a lot of Jeff Bridges movies. I've seen The Big Lebowski, that was a little while ago, and Tron, and that's probably mostly it. But I know he was a huge actor in the 70s and 80s, had a string of films in the 80s, like a great run. Starman, Tron,
King Kong,
1976. He was in The Last Picture Show.
Correct.
Which Peter Bogdanovich did, when his most famous movie.
He was in an 80s thriller called Jagged Edge, which, well, I don't think was like super wildly critically popular. I believe it did some good business.
Yes.
I don't know. He obviously came from an acting family.
Yeah.
His dad was famous. His brother Bo is famous.
Mm-hmm.
To me, he's the ultimate character actor. And the rarity with a character actor of his, is that they reach that stature that he's reached. I mean, the guy, he won the Oscar for Crazy Heart. He played the bad guy in Iron Man. He played the dude. He played Jack Lucas here. He can play virtually any role.
He did the remake of True Grit. Which was amazing.
Yeah, that was great.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I love when he works with the Coen brothers. But yeah, I was surprised and excited when I found out there was a Terry Gilliam movie starring two of my favorite actors.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I was excited to watch it.
Yeah. I actually got a fun fact for you, TJ. Do you know that the baseball T-shirt he wears in this film, is also in The Big Lebowski? I
didn't even catch that.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, so he wears the same baseball T-shirt in The Big Lebowski and in this film.
I'll have to go back and rewatch. Wow, that's wild.
Yeah.
Nice. Very cool.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I guess we should get into this film now. Okay, so This film starts out with, I believe his name is Jack.
Jack Lucas.
Jack Lucas. Okay, right. And so played by Jeff Bridges, of course. And he's a very hot radio producer. He's supposed to be Howard Stern, but more evil, I guess.
A shock jock.
More shock jock, like more cynical than Howard Stern.
Correct.
They try to get Howard Stern, I don't think for this movie, but they try to get him to listen to some tapes and oversee the production to see how Jeff Bridges is doing it. But I think he wanted more money or something like that, and they said no, we're not going to do that anymore. But yeah, so he's a shock jock. He's telling people to the slime or
down with yuppies.
Yeah,
he belittles callers that or he thinks are beneath him. Yeah, frankly,
basically it was the whole thing during the 90s and 80s. It was shock jocks, so wanting radio people who would do crazy things to get attention. And he's a great success. I mean, he's the number one broadcast. I don't know, maybe in New York.
He's got Niles Crane as his manager.
Yes,
I wrote that in my note. Niles. But yeah, he's kind of a hypocrite in a lot of ways because
he is yuppie scum.
He is yuppie scum, exactly.
Yeah, he lives in a high rise with his girlfriend.
Yeah,
has wears face paint, wears a mask.
Yeah, yep.
A skin mask to help.
Very
his skin.
vain. Yes, very vain.
He's gonna star in a sitcom that's very probably very
Full House-ish type.
Full Houses, studio, that stuff.
Yeah.
Then a great tragedy happens. One of the people he was speaking to, when he said, "Yep, he's a scum, we shall kill them," goes into a bar that's probably filled with working people and massacres them. 8 people total are dead.
Yep.
And some of the blame is put on him.
And it was a murder-suicide, right?
Yes,
killed himself.
he
Okay.
killed himself, yes.
Yeah. And then, yes, so obviously Jack is taken aback on it, and I believe it flips, I believe it flashes forward 3 years or so. But I did like the opening scene. It's very quick.
Yeah.
I was surprised, actually, how little time it actually takes for the tragedy to take place and for his life to be in shambles. But they do a great job in that 5 minutes or so establishing who he is, why he's a hypocrite, why he is successful. And you know, he's practicing lines for this TV show he's being offered, and his character's catchphrase would be, "Forgive me." And it's just so funny because it reminded me of Tobias Funke saying, "Excuse me," and, like, you know, obviously being a Steve Martin ripoff.
Yeah, he kept on going. Was it "Forgive me"? Was that the line?
It was "Forgive me,"
Yeah, he kept on saying it like in different ways. Like, "Forgive me. Forgive me."
Yeah, he was having fun with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, not soon after that is he living, he and his girlfriend. Was it the same girlfriend or
No,
not?
he got dumped,
Okay.
and I guess during the 3 years he met, which her name was Anne, which is played by Mercedes Rule.
Yes.
So they're in a relationship. She owns a video store. Jack works there, just bums off.
He's kind of just a bum at this
Yeah,
point.
definitely.
Yeah. Like, he's definitely depressed, and obviously depression is no joke.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it was intentional. They make it to where he makes his depression the center of all attention in that relationship,
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
And I will just go ahead and say it now. I will simp for Anne. Anne is a gem.
Yeah.
She's awesome.
That's the whole thing. Like, we know from the beginning that this guy's just here because he has nowhere else to go.
Yeah.
Basically, this woman takes pity on him, and he just takes advantage of her.
She says, "I love you," and even though he
Yeah.
doesn't respond and say it back, she says, "I know I'll get you. Say it one
Yeah.
day." She is truly a gem, and Mercedes Rule was excellent.
Yeah.
Quick fun notes: did you catch the Adventures of Baron Munchausen
Yes,
in Brazil posters?
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. Actually, we're going through fun facts. Somebody actually posted all the movies you see in the video store, like all the video
wow.
stores. I didn't do that because it would be really long. But
That would take a while.
Yeah, but yeah, they actually did all the films that were knocked down and stuff like that. So
Nice.
that was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
You also see Brazil.
yeah, I said that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you talked over me though.
You said the Baron Munchausen.
And Brazil, but you
Okay.
talked over me at that
Okay.
point. It's okay.
All right.
Did you just threaten to kill me?
Yeah, I did.
All right, fair enough.
I've done it before, so.
I have this in my notes too. There was a particular, I guess not a callback, kind of a callback to a movie that we reviewed on this show. Do you know where I'm going with this?
I believe so.
So Anne's store has the fabled, the fun family video porno.
Oh, yeah.
And a customer comes back there while Anne and Jack are arguing or in the middle of something, and she goes, and it's a regular customer who's like, "I've seen all these already." And she pulls them off the shelf. She goes, "Here, Creamer versus Creamer. It won an award." And punches him out the door. I was dying. I thought that was so funny. Creamer.
I thought she said Kramer versus Kramer, but I thought, wait, isn't that porn? Then
Creamer versus
I
Creamer.
think they mentioned one more film we've done, but I forget which one.
If they did, I didn't catch it.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, he's obviously depressed and racked with guilt and drinking and kind of mooching off of Anne and her entrepreneurial pursuits. And one night he goes out to a bridge, a local New York City bridge is what I put in my notes. I'm not too familiar with the
I
topography.
think that's the Brooklyn Bridge.
Was it just the Brooklyn
I
Bridge?
think so.
Actually, that's probably...
There's many
probably
bridges
right.
in New York, but
Yeah.
my guess that's the Brooklyn Bridge.
Sure.
That's just my guess.
He's got concrete blocks tied to his feet.
Yeah.
And who are these teenagers? These teenagers, as soon as he's about to jump, these teenagers pull up in a van with baseball bats and
Yeah.
they come to beat him up. Do people do that in New York?
I don't know. Maybe now. I guess because there's a homeless problem, of course, in America and
Yes.
in New York, especially during those times and still now. But I guess people think, we don't have the same kind of sympathy we have to homeless people now, even though I would say it's not really that changed that much. But back then they were considered bums, just vagrants on the street, and they think they're ruining the neighborhood, so they would beat the shit out of them.
Yeah.
And torture them. It's just like, it sucks.
And that will be a theme in this movie,
Yeah.
is homelessness and how society, non-homeless society views them.
Yeah.
And I thought they did an interesting job with it, but we'll get to that. He is saved at the last second by Robin Williams' character Perry,
Yeah.
who's got a shield, a garbage can
He's
shield.
basically a homeless superhero. He's a knight. He's a knight trying to protect his land.
He's got a sword made out of an Ford F-150 grill.
Yeah.
Kind of.
He's got a bow and arrow.
Correct. Yeah, he's got a bow and arrow, and he saves Jack and brings him to his boiler room home that, basically his landlord, quote unquote, is letting him live in for free out of pity. Mm-hmm. The next morning, Jack wakes up. He's hungover and obviously freaked out because Perry's telling him about the little people, the little fat angels, the little fat people that fly around and talk to him.
That's probably what he thinks angels are. Not Jack.
Perry?
Terry Gilliam. That's probably what he thinks angels are. The little fat people just running around.
Some of those animations in the Holy Grail are little fat angels. Yeah. I could see that, yeah. But as Jack's on his way out, he runs into the guy who owns the building who says, listen, I told, no visitors. I let him live there because of the tragedy. And that's when Jack finds out that Perry, his real name was Henry.
Yeah.
And he was a college professor who was at the bar that night of the shooting. And right in front of him, he saw his wife's head get blown up.
Yeah.
And anyway, Perry is obviously... I think he was in a catatonic state after that.
For a year. He didn't talk at all, and then just one day he just snapped out of it and just began life as Perry.
And became obsessed with the story of the Fisher King, which he tells Jack later, and obsessed with the retrieval of the Holy Grail. And I gotta say, I am thrilled that Terry Gilliam never fully got away from the Holy Grail.
Yeah.
They didn't get it in the Monty Python movie.
Yeah, well,
now they're gonna get it.
Well, Terry Gilliam likes old age, basically, I believe it's called I'm going to pronounce it totally, the Baroque era, the B-A-R... Baroque era. Yeah, Baroque era. It was the early 17th century to 1740. Mm-hmm. It was basically a whole styles of art. It was basically about huge grand gestures or huge things to leave you in awe. So they're very, very eccentric and wild and stuff like that. So that's why he's obsessed with the Holy Grail and obsessed with stuff like that because he loved that period.
Okay.
And basically he loves imagination. That's the basis of his films. It's a lot of imagination and what imagination views of the world. Because he views the world as not just one thing. He views it as all things. Not just one way the world goes. The world can go in many different ways. That's what he tries to do in his films.
I could see that, yeah. I mean, that's what I think the other two on our list of his will probably be more like that. This movie is definitely dark. You know what I mean? It's got a lot of comic relief.
Yeah.
Due in large part to Robin Williams. He's terrific in this. But I found that the major topics of this movie were things like guilt, grief, mental health. Jack has a line when he's talking to Anne after he finds out who Perry is. And he starts obsessively hanging out with Perry. He gives him $70 at one point, and Perry immediately turns around and gives it to another homeless guy, and Jack gets pissed off, and Perry's just like, I don't need it. If I can help someone else out, I'll help him. Mm-hmm. But Jack has a wonderful line, I thought, to Anne where he says, I wish I could just pay the fine and go home, because he feels responsible.
Yeah.
And this isn't the type of thing you can just obviously, you indirectly got some people killed. And I think that this movie does handle that type of guilt very well, as well as treatment of the homeless, mental health disorders, because as we were talking pre-show, the homeless population we do see is kind of very happy and self-assured. Does that make sense?
I think so. Well, I don't think they're happy. Michael Jeter's character. He's not happy.
He's not. That's true.
But he has a smile because he was a singer, and he saw most of his. When he said, "I saw most of my friends die."
He was certainly the most tragic.
Yes.
I suppose I wrote that down. I think once Jack is saved and he's back with all the Perry and his knights, if you will, and they're all singing and talking about they don't have a worry in the world. Mm-hmm. They don't belong in society as you or I do.
True.
Michael Jeter's character is obviously treated a little differently.
Yeah.
You want to talk about him?
Yeah, so Michael Jeter, do you know his character's name? I forget.
Let me find real quick. It is just homeless cabaret singer.
That's it?
Okay, good.
Really?
Yeah, that's all Wikipedia lists it as.
All right, so Michael Jeter, he's the voice of, he was, I think, not Snoopy. What was it? What was the, the Muppets.
Elmo.
He was Elmo, yes. He wasn't Elmo, but he worked at Sesame Street and did many Elmo's characters.
Okay.
Michael Jeter's been in many films. Fortunately passed away in 2003.
Oh.
Or 2004, I forget. But yeah, so he was ex cabaret singer. You know, he would do little shows with his friends, and I guess he lived through the AIDS crisis in the 80s, and he lost most of his friends, and he just became homeless.
Yeah.
But he still sings. He's still just trying to be out there and be himself, and he does. And he gives one of the best scenes in the film where when they're trying to get Amanda Plum's character to date Perry, he goes to her office and then sings in drag.
Yeah.
It
was a great scene,
yeah, to get her to come. It was amazing.
Yeah, so there is a woman named Lydia whom Perry literally has her schedule down to a T. He's infatuated with her in, I guess, the least creepy way possible. It still is a little creepy by today's standards.
Yeah.
But he's at least never, like, violent or anything
No,
of the
he
sort.
watches her from afar, which
does.
is also very like a old tale, like from the Middle Ages.
Sure.
Yeah.
I suppose that's true, actually. But basically, Jack and Anne help him connect with her, and it's a whole series of things by making Lydia believe that she won a free membership and free rentals at Anne's store, and basically they get her into the apartment and go out on a date with them two, Perry and Lydia.
It would be the worst date ever because from Jeff Bridges and Mercedes Ruehl Eyes, it's just awkwardness after awkwardness. But they fit so perfectly together, you can see how it works.
They do, indeed. And I wanted to get back to Michael Jeter's character really quickly. And I'm trying to think what the distinguishment is. He, compared to the other homeless people in the movie that I saw, or at least Perry's like band of knights, quote, I'm going to just call them that.
Yeah.
They seem to be more out of touch with reality, whereas he was hysterical, but I wouldn't say he was mentally ill the way that they were.
Yeah.
He I think had lived through, like you said, they kind of maybe implicate or imply that it was perhaps the AIDS crisis. Just that whole era's homophobic, let's just call it what it is, homophobic mindset. I think he was the one that was still rooted in reality. Perry and his knights were not. And I think that's why they were almost a little more blissful, whereas he was the more realistic take on somebody who really didn't have anybody they could rely on.
Yeah.
And there's a heartbreak. The scene at the end, toward the end, when Jack completely ignores him as he's getting kicked off of the premises, that was tough. But we'll get to that when we get there, I suppose. Another fun bright spot in my notes, Tom Waits.
Tom Waits is there.
Second
Tom
week
Waits
in a row.
did a great cameo, basically explaining the homeless situation. Like he's basically saying they just don't notice me, and that's, I guess they say like that's fine because like I just need money from them, and kind of forget. Do you remember that at all?
Yeah. I mean, that's exactly what it was. He's basically explaining. I think he was a disabled veteran.
Yeah.
And he was basically explaining that it's just they don't exist in the eyes of conventional society. But sometimes they'll give back so they can feel better about themselves.
Yeah.
And they're very transactional. It's a very transactional relationship. And while he's talking with Jack, he's got a cup out and he's just talking to Jack, and people are walking by and dropping coins in. And it's like you're paying a bridge toll.
Yeah, which is true too. I mean, I give out money to homeless people I see on the street. My dad does that. I'm giving money to a missionary right now. Not a missionary, like a homeless missionary.
Good
help. I give like $100 a month now. And is that because I want to do good, or is it because maybe it makes me feel a little bit better?
It's a little bit of both.
A little bit of both, yes. Yeah. Like I wanted to help a person like days ago, but I didn't do it because I thought it was too far, and I obsessed over it. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if this man was homeless or not, but I wanted to help him, and I went back out to the place I work because I thought if he's still there, I could help him.
Yeah.
And that's the thing about human society. We kind of just forget about the homeless people. We kind of ignore them. But we shouldn't. The actual people who are just trying to live, and we should try to do better. And I hope I'm trying to do better. But that's just to say of the homeless population. We can do many things to help them, but people just don't because it's greed or
they think that they are where they are because of themselves.
Yeah.
No, it's victim blaming. It's some selfishness. But at the end of the day, it's the golden rule, right? But we'll get off of our high horses here.
Yeah.
I did like the scene in that train. What was it, the subway station or something?
Yes.
Where Tom Waits was?
Tom Waits. That was...
Is it a train station?
Yeah, no, it's a train station.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did like... One aspect I thought was really cool in that scene was because Lydia passes through there.
Yeah.
And so that's why they're there, is so Perry can, watch her at that stretch of her day. And the point of view kind of shifts from Jack, who was talking to Tom Waits, to Perry, who is from afar following Lydia. And so you get his kind of mental take on the whole situation. He's walking through the crowd, and so is Lydia, but everyone around them is ballroom dancing. It was kind of cool.
Yeah, that was cool. And that also shows, like, even his dreams, Jack, is also a fantasy, because he's imagining all these people dancing around, which they're not, but he sees that. He's like, it's like when a night, or imagine this, like some poor villager in the Middle Ages would go to a big ball, like sneak in, and then sees the beautiful princess, and everybody's dancing around him, and he's just trying to get to her.
Yeah,
I see it like that.
That's actually that's a very good point.
Yeah,
it does evoke that kind of medieval fantasy imagery. Yeah, that you'd see in those types of movies or TV shows.
Yeah, I looked this up. The wall scene actually did take place in Grand Central Station. The terminal was shut down from 8 p.m. until 5:30 a.m. the next morning.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, and that's Grand Central Station, one of the busiest train stations in New York. So yeah, that took a lot of planning. And also, when he thought of this idea just on the spot, I guess, because they had to shoot that small scene, and it was like, I can just set this down for a while. What if everybody's just dancing, and they just did it?
Oh, that's incredible. Yeah, that's how it came about.
Definitely. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, it was a credit to the movie.
If I got my facts right, I don't remember exactly, but yeah.
Well, hey, people who are listening, feel free not to research that.
Exactly.
Just take our word.
Take our word. Always take our word. Science is bullshit.
That's right. Yes. We know more.
Exactly.
You want to talk about the Red Knight?
Yes. Okay. So one of the main things of Terry Gilliam filmmaking, completely or partially in people's imaginations. They're raising questions about identity and sanity, often shows opposition of bureaucracy and authoritarian regimes, higher and lower status, such as homeless and non-homeless people, and disturbing and images and stuff like that. So we see that in the Red Knight. And the Red Knight represents Perry's fear, anger, sadness, everything. And the hate he feels to himself and the person who killed his wife and everything. Yeah. So that's basically the Red Knight. And they did a great job. Terry Gilliam, of course, is one of the great imagery filmmaker from countless, once again, Monty Python, stuff like that. The Red Knight was great. When I saw him, I was like, this is a great piece of work.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he's used very sparingly, which I think is great, too. And I think there's a common thread. Anytime he shows up, it's when Perry has thought about his wife.
Yeah.
And when he saw her get murdered. He is very detached from reality. He doesn't think about his old life. He doesn't even, for the most part, remember that he had an old life for his wife. But anytime that something brings her up, or he has a flashback of her, that Red Knight shows up in his hallucination as a hallucination for him and scares him back to, at least that's what I took from it. And the Red Knight is admittedly terrifying looking, but I love how practical it looks. It literally does look like a character that would have been in the Holy Grail.
Yeah.
And I think that it's perfect. I thought he's all raggedy. He's on a scary horse.
Fire breather. Yep. This is amazing.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's also praising Terry Gilliam's filmmaking. So he deals a lot with dreams, because once again, he's a very imaginative person, deals with the imagery of fantasy and imagination. So he follows, I watched a video on this, I forgot who did it, but yeah, so I watched this video about him and dreams, and he basically kind of follows the logic of this guy named Carl Gustav Jung.
Carl Jung.
So two basic principles of Carl Jung's theory about dreams is the personal unconscious. And that is basically that that people express the personal unconscious through dreams that they bring up themselves and allow us to bring conflicts up front and able to solve them and find harmony. And also in that harmony, the final solution is into individuation, which is resolution of personal unconsciousness. So the personal unconscious of Perry is the Red Knight, bringing up the fears, the anger of his wife's death, and his wife's death. And his individuation is when he stands up to the Knight. Finally, he doesn't really stand up, but he just accepts it. He's just like, just take me.
Yep, and it's worth noting, he ends up being chased by the Knight to the same Brooklyn Bridge area where he saved Jack's life earlier from the thugs. and he's facing down the night. He's got nowhere else to run, and of course the teenagers show up again with their baseball bats and knives and start beating Perry to death.
Yeah.
Basically. And he ends up back in a catatonic state. But he did face the Red Knight in that scene, and that is the last that we see of the Red Knight.
Yeah, that's his individuation, I believe it's called.
Yes.
I believe I'm trying to pronounce it right. Sorry if I butchered the explanation, but that's the best I could
No,
do.
it makes sense.
Yeah, so...
And then meanwhile, Jack, he did successfully, they all went on their double date, and Perry walks Lydia home, and he explains to her that he, just really likes her, and that he, confesses, I've been watching you from afar, and, I'd like to be with you. And she accepts. They are very good together, and they share a first kiss, which is if inevitably what leads him to the flashback of his wife's death, unfortunately. But meanwhile, Jack feels like his work is done. He feels like he's no longer indebted to Perry because, hey, I found him a new wife. And he tells Anne, you know what, I think I'm going to get my work back. I'm going to start working again. And she says, oh, that's great. I'm proud of you. I can't wait. I can't wait to see what you can do. And, maybe we can get a new house. And then that's when he breaks the news that, you know what, I think I'm going to just be alone.
Yeah.
And he breaks up with Anne. And then we flash forward a few months later.
I think we all saw it coming because we all knew he was using basically Anne just to be a place and just wait till it happens.
Right.
And you expected him to change, but he didn't change until just a little later in the film.
Right. He just needed to get that guilt off his back.
Exactly.
And then we cut forward, and it's clean-shaven Jack, earring, sunglasses, big shot, radio star again. And yeah, he's got no time for the little people anymore. This is the scene when he and his agent, Niles Crane, are walking to the radio building, or they're walking actually to a TV executive.
Yeah.
And I have that actor in my notes too. But they're walking to a TV executive's office, and Michael Jeter's character, the cabaret dancer, is being kicked off of the premises, and he's shouting, Jack, it's me, help me, and Jack just ignores him. And I was so mad at that scene.
Yeah.
It was bad enough that he dumped Anne, but then he shit on Michael Jeter. That was too far.
Yeah.
But this scene is where he does change. He goes in to meet a TV executive played by John Delancey, who is a big deal to me. He played Q in Star Trek The Next Generation. And Deep Space Nine for an episode. But regardless, he meets with this TV producer who wants him in a new TV show. Do you remember the TV show, Pitch?
Oh yeah, he wanted to be about the homeless people, how they love to be homeless and
Yes.
the wisecracking and all that stuff.
Wacky homeless character.
Yeah,
Like
if he lived for a couple months.
Yes. Yeah. And the title of the show was called Home Free. And this is the scene where Jack actually does show that he does grow a bit here. Yeah. And I do think that this was a great way of Terry Gilliam showing just how, the homeless society is thought of by the yuppie society.
Yeah.
In this case, it was the yuppies. But this is when he leaves, he realizes that these people that were his friends that saved his life, frankly, have been dehumanized because those with power, those with clout and money, they're the ones that dehumanize people that have less than them. And I think that's a tale as old as time now. But this is when he shows that change. He goes to visit Perry, who's in a catatonic state, and even though he's mad at him, he curses him out, and he's yelling at him.
He's well, fine, I'll get you the Holy Grail. Is that enough? Will that wake you up?
Yes.
Huh?
And then what do we see the very next scene?
Him getting the Holy Grail, Perry style.
In Perry's clothes.
Yeah.
He's got a grappling hook, and he's going up. And I love that the architect's house where it's kept has castle architecture.
Yeah.
It's awesome looking. And he does sneak into the house, and he briefly has a hallucination of the shooter.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He does. I do think a big part of this transition, this growth of Jax, is him not losing his sanity per se, but starting to see
what Perry sees.
Exactly.
Feels what Perry feels.
Exactly. He starts getting little hallucinations. Not anything like Perry's, but a little bit. And it was an interesting scene, though, because he finds that Holy Grail that Perry had seen in a picture of the architect. And it was like some trophy from 1939 or something.
Yeah,
right?
like Man of the Year or something like that.
Right. And he still takes it. And I believe the architecture, he was like committing suicide, right?
Yeah, he was. He was like a multi-millionaire, stuff like that. He took too many pills, and Jack was like, oh, crap, what do I do? So he basically set off the alarm and saved the guy's life. Mm-hmm. So, once again, I don't think Jack would have done that before. He probably just would have taken the thing and left.
No traces, yeah.
No traces, but he did the right thing.
He did.
Yeah,
he
and
did.
then
Yep.
Yeah, and then he finally goes to Perry, gives him the Holy Grail, and Perry wakes up.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's right. Lydia comes to visit him in the hospital. They see, I think there was a line of dialogue where Perry said something like, "I'm ready to love, I'm ready to grieve for my wife," or something.
Yeah.
Like he's ready to accept that she's gone. He'll always love her.
Yeah.
And it's powerful stuff, dude. Like, it blows my mind because I, for the longest time, thought that Good Will Hunting was where Robin Williams finally diversified away from comedy. But no, this movie is very dramatic turn for
Robin Williams, like the man who played, I wouldn't say exactly the same, but Robin Williams is a terrific actor in drama or in comedy.
I watched an interview with Jeff Bridges today where he talked about the making of this movie, and he said that Robin was just a delight to work with.
Yeah.
I'm sure many people have said that.
Yeah. So he's up again. He's going to accept his wife's death, and he's moving on. And then Jack goes back to Anna, and they get back together.
He finally tells her, "I love you."
Yeah.
And he does show that growth. And then the final scene is him and Perry, and we meant to touch on this earlier.
Yeah.
I meant to touch on this earlier. The first night that Jack keeps company with Perry, Perry starts chasing after or running away from the Red Knight, and he ends up in Central Park, where he goes clouding or something, or cloud
he just
sorting,
watches
or
the
cloud
clouds.
splitting. But you have to be naked. He said he said that he can move clouds with his mind in Central Park, but he has to be naked. So he strips down naked. I did not expect to see Robin Williams naked in this movie.
I thought we were going to see like full Robin Williams.
No, but
Dick and all, but
like I said, this movie subverted a lot of expectations.
yeah.
But Jack's obviously like, "Come on, man, you can't strip down here. You can't strip down here. You're crazy," and he walks away. Then the last scene of this movie is them laying in Central Park naked, looking at the
so that way they're
clouds.
both equal. Jack sees it Perry's way, and Perry sees Jack's way.
Correct.
So they're both
Correct. It was a
same.
wonderful ending, and I love when Jack says like, "Oh, they're moving." Like you see the clouds moving,
Yeah.
and he goes, "Am I doing that with my mind?" And I think Perry says, "What are you crazy? It's the wind." It was great, and that was the Fisher King.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, go ahead. What you got?
Okay, so let's start with the acting. Robin Williams was amazing in this.
Yeah.
If possible, he probably should have won the Academy Award for Best Actor. I actually have the list right here. So the people who were nominated that year was Anthony Hopkins, Silence of the Lambs, which was also amazing, but he only had 19 minutes the whole film.
See, that's I've
Yes.
always kind of had a gripe with that Oscar.
True.
Not
Even
that
though
he wasn't great. He
I
was
saw
great.
Silence of the Lambs, that's an amazing movie.
It's
and
an
Anthony
amazing
Hopkins
movie.
played an amazing character.
Yes.
But once again, he only appeared in 19 minutes of the whole film. It wasn't the film itself. Warren Beatty in Bugsy, which I guess people really loved Bugsy back in 1991. I don't understand it. I've never seen Bugsy. I never really heard of Bugsy until I listened to like a
We'll
podcast.
watch it eventually.
Yeah, we'll watch it again eventually. Bob De Niro and Cape Fear, I've seen, which he actually gave an amazing performance also.
Because he was, and at least he wasn't in just 19 minutes of it.
No, yeah. And Nick Nolte in The Prince of Tides.
Oh, the Barbra Streisand one?
I think so.
Is that with Barbra Streisand or something?
I know he was in like multiple ones with Barbra Streisand. Yes.
Was it produced by John Peters?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so. Let me check. Hold on. Produced by Streisand and a guy named Andrew S. Kosh.
Okay.
So-
Yeah.
and then and of course Robin Williams was nominated for the Fisher King. So he had.
he was nominated, though.
Yes, he was.
Oh, okay. Good. I thought you meant he wasn't at all. Okay.
No, he was. He was nominated.
Were there other Oscars this was nominated for?
Let's see here. Well, okay. So best supporting actor, none. Oh wait. Mercedes Rule won best supporting actress for the Fisher King. Bam.
Nice.
Yeah.
She deserved it.
She definitely.
She was my
deserved that.
She was my favorite character outside. Well, she was awesome. Anne was a gem.
And
Good for her. All
yeah,
right,
she beat
awesome.
out Diane Ladd in The Rambling Rose, Juliette Lewis in Cape Fear, Kate Nelligan in The Prince of Tides, and Jessica Tandy in Fried Green Tomatoes.
Okay, that's
See,
good company.
any other
Sure.
Movies? Yeah, okay. Nominated for Best Screenplay, written directly for the screen. Lost to Thelma and Louise. And let's see, anything else? No, I'm not seeing any. I don't know, but we'll go. But it was nominated. Only won one Academy Award, but I feel like still, like Robin Williams is just so energetic and so screen stealing that it's insane.
Yeah, he is.
How great he is. 1 minute he can make you laugh crazy and hilarious, like when he wants to have sex with Anne, and it's like, I'll show you my penis, and
And he was only doing that to get Jack to appreciate her, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Like, he was being loud and boisterous about it.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I will show you my penis.
Yeah.
You're right. He is one of those talents that
Yeah.
is
It can make you laugh for a second, and then the next minute it can make you cry. Like,
Yeah.
it's insane.
absolutely.
It's insane. I don't know if he ever won an Academy Award, Robin Williams. I think he won
He
one
did,
for
for Good Will Hunting.
Good Will Hunting?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay. But it's just so
Rightfully
amazing.
so. He was great in that movie.
Yeah. If we can have like half the talent he was, that'd be amazing. But he can just turn off and on just like that, and it was amazing.
Oh, absolutely. And like even the first scene with him in that, or the first scene when once Jack wakes up and he's spraying Raid all over the house, like in Jack's face, even because he's
Yeah.
trying to get rid of the flying fat angels or
yeah.
whatever. He's got that manic energy, and I don't think anybody I've seen has matched that.
Yeah, I mean,
there's only
besides
one Robin Williams.
Yeah, it's definitely. I mean, the guy I was going to bring this up earlier. The guy who plays Ernest movies, you know this guy?
Jim Varney.
Jim
yeah.
Varney. He actually is a multi-talented
He's
actor.
good.
Also, yes.
He's good. Yeah.
We just don't see him in a
Was.
lot of like movies like Robin Williams. So they never gave him a shot because he was Ernest.
Yeah, he was
So,
Ernest. He was typecast.
Yeah, but he also knows improv and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So, and him and Robin Williams were friends, and they used to.
Oh, were they?
Yeah, definitely. So I see also interviews of them and stuff. They would talk, and yeah,
That's cool.
definitely.
Yeah, I mean, talent finds talent, I'm sure, and great minds think alike. There's
What do you think of Jeff Bridges? He's one of your favorite actors. What do you think of his performance in this movie?
I think he's great. I think he's a natural, and it's one of those roles too where like I even got duped thinking, okay, he's changing.
Yeah.
And then as soon as he tells Anne, "Come here, we got to talk," I'm like, "You son of a bitch."
Yeah.
You son of a bitch.
I kind of didn't see that. I kind of said like, as soon as this is all over, he's gonna just dump it. I kind of saw that throughout the film. I didn't see if he was going to change. I think like he felt the weight off his shoulders because he helped him, and then all that stuff happened again.
Yeah. But no, he's great. He's great as that shock jock persona.
Yeah.
He comes off as such, like, you just hate him. He's such a hypocrite in that beginning because, listen, it's okay. I'm not going to knock anybody's hustle. You can do whatever you want for a living, and you can live whatever way you want if you can afford it. God bless. But he makes his money ragging on people, making fun of them, belittling them, and then as a whole belittling the baby boomers, the yuppies. He is one.
Yeah.
Like you said, he lives in that high rise, and he is a very vain person those first 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And, he's great. Jeff Bridges, though, is great at those highs, and he's great at the lows. When he's pissed drunk and wandering around ready to kill himself, he's great. He's great when he shows guilt, when he says that line that I really enjoyed about how I wish I could just pay my fine and be done with it. He's great in this movie. The only problem is he's overshadowed by Robin Williams.
Yeah,
Frankly,
I think that's mostly all Robin Williams performances. Like,
that's absolutely
definitely
true.
within Good Will Hunting. You kind of he overshadows Matt Damon a little bit.
Yeah.
And then in other films, he's just the center of attention. So it's nothing.
Think anyone went to see Old Dogs because of John Travolta?
No.
Did anyone even see Old Dogs?
No,
I never saw
No.
it.
One more thing about Robin Williams, I think like his Oscar moment was when the red night came right after the date.
Yeah.
That was his Oscar moment because when
Dude.
he teared up and was like, "I accept my fate," and then they just
Didn't that
sliced his-
shit just kill you?
Yeah.
He had a great night with Lydia. She liked him. He liked her. And then it flashed him back to his wife and
Well,
the whole red
that's the
night
thing
scene.
with guilt or depression or stuff like that. Like you think you're on the highest of highs,
It's
and then
survivor's guilt.
Yeah, it's survivor's guilt, and it just comes back straight in your face.
Of course.
That's just depression. Like
And it was wonderfully
you
done.
can have
yeah.
the greatest night of your life, everything's going great, and then this one little thought just pops back into your mind,
Yes.
and everything falls down.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And while a lot of it is done comedically, I do think this movie tackled mental health in a pretty proactive manner for
Yeah.
1991. You know what I mean? It wasn't as discussed as realistically as you would see in movies nowadays.
Yeah.
But I never thought it was done disrespectfully whatsoever.
No,
Not
wasn't
whatsoever.
It was shown as a whimsical kind of way. But that's because that's
Kind
what Gilliam is. He's very whimsical. He takes the imagination and he takes it in. It's usually a feature of fighting a struggle against great power and emotion with an emotional situation. And this emotional situation was, of course, the killing of his wife, which we saw was very graphic. And if anyone was in that
Couldn't believe it.
situation, you actually see his wife get her head blown off, which
And blood and brain splatter on
Yeah.
him. I was not expecting that. The movie doesn't pull punches
no.
in any way, and I respect it, and I like that about it.
What do you think about the female characters? We know Anne was great because she was basically the sympathetic girlfriend the whole time, but she basically was a tough Brooklyn chick, and she played that great also.
She did. She did, and I think that she knew deep down that she still needed to get that "I love you" from him, or he might leave one day. But she just didn't want to admit it. I loved Anne though. She was entrepreneurial. She was tough. She was the one that owned the house, the business.
Yeah.
He worked for her and took advantage of her. Frankly, I liked Lydia. She was definitely an eccentric.
Yeah.
But I liked her, and I thought that the actress Amanda Plummer, had great chemistry with Robin Williams. What did you think?
Yeah, I thought Anne was great too, and so was Lydia. I mean, Lydia fit the role perfectly because they're exactly the same. My guess Terry Gilliam just told Amanda Plummer, just be like him, and she's basically tried her best Robin Williams impression, and it worked.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it really did. And they're so quirky, and they're playing like chopstick hockey with the broccoli at dinner, and
They can't pick up the noodles, and
right. Even though she's apparently every week goes to get dumplings, and every week she drops a few with the chopsticks. No, they were both great. I can't say anything bad about any of the cast, frankly.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, what'd you think of the direction overall?
I thought it was great. Okay, so I'm gonna try to explain this the best I can. So, in his direction style is very not really like a lot of people's directing style. Let's see, he uses a lot of Dutch angles, lower angles, high angles, stuff like that to make it seem the world's obtuse or strange. That's really
and fantastical, really.
Yeah,
that is.
Yeah,
I was going to mention that, and I before I lose this thought, it was a minor scene, but it's right after the double date. And he kisses her, and she goes back into her apartment. And Perry's standing in the middle of the street. This is right before he has his panic attack, and he sees the Red Knight. He's standing in the middle of a street with one street light on him, and you get this beautiful shot from above. It kind of made me think of what I would imagine seeing in an old black and white noir movie or something like artsy kind of. The camera angles were really unique. You did get like a very unique perspective on things. It was very whimsical and fantastical at times.
That's just to make it unrest, to make it seem weird and out of order.
And the one thing I liked, I caught my eye in that scene after the date with the last attack by the Red Knight. Perry is wearing one of Jack's suits, and it's too big on him, right? It doesn't fit him very well. And it's like held, the sleeves are held up to his, wrists by staples. They like had to, hem it, on the fly kind of. But as he's having this panic attack and this PTSD about his wife's death, and he's seeing the Red Knight and freaking out in the middle of the street, he's flailing around, and that all comes undone. And the suit is made, in a few frames you can see it, it's made to look like a straitjacket.
Oh.
It was really, really cool.
Man,
it was a really cool
insane.
effect. Yeah, a very cool effect.
Yeah. Now, in this film, Terry Gilliam does not go out like all balls to the walls like Terry Gilliam does in his other films. But the few times he does, it's amazing. And it also goes to show you how well he as well as a director doing the normal scenes. He's very fluid, very shot well, and everything like that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But like I can't wait to see his other films because they're going to be, I don't know. I always think like the biggest things I picked these like balls to the walls is going to be insane because I've seen Brazil. Brazil's crazy. Like I have no idea what Time Band's going to be like. I have no idea what Adventures of Bam Munchausen is going to be like. But I'm hoping it's insane.
So. I hope so too. I can't wait. Really.
Definitely. So should we get into our final thoughts then? We got into the
why not?
Okay. So. Let's just do the budget and the box office also. Okay, so the budget of this movie was $24 million.
Okay.
It made $41.9 million. So it was a little bit of success, not that much. Rotten Tomato score, critic score, 84%. Audience score, 85%. So
oh, good.
Yeah,
okay.
So this movie is well loved by critics and by audiences.
Good.
So that's good. So not taking that into account, I would say this movie did connect with me very deeply, as not a lot of other movies have while we watched this. I mean, I felt the joy when they felt the joy, I felt the sadness when they felt the sadness. And I know it's a good movie, because it looks well and I can feel it. Mm-hmm. And I definitely felt it with Perry. Just Robin Williams is so energetic and so magnetizing. It's just insane. It's impossible to hate him in mostly any role. I don't know, I haven't seen Patch Adams, so any of his bad stuff. But it's just impossible to hate him. And everybody gave a great performance. The Red Knight stuff was amazing. Probably some of the best parts in the film. Michael Jeter was a great side character. Great performance. One of my favorite scenes was definitely that scene when he went into her office and performed Cabaret for everybody. So I would recommend this movie. I would give it 4 stars out of 4. It was great, and I would definitely watch it again.
That's a good sign. Yeah.
Yeah.
See that you can have a great movie and still not want to rewatch it. There are plenty of movies like that for me. I thought Birdman was an enjoyable movie. I'll never watch it again.
Yeah.
I thought The Artist was a good movie. I'll never watch it again. I enjoyed this movie on many levels, and I would watch it again, no question, because frankly, it's 2 hours and 15 minutes.
Yeah.
There is not a single scene, I'd argue, that needs to be cut.
No.
I've always been a believer of you could make a movie 4 hours. If it justifies that 4-hour runtime, I don't care. It doesn't bother me. As long as I can pause it or I can get up and piss. Point is, this movie was dense. A dense 2 hours and 2.25 hours. I thought the performances were spectacular. I thought the photography, the direction were all spectacular. I think this was a movie that probably could have just been totally forgotten. I think it could have been a dud. And it wasn't. It fired on all cylinders. Mm-hmm. The fantasy elements are great. The moments of realism, the moments of pain, heartbreak and grief and guilt, they're all real. And nothing sugar-coated, but you still have that fantastical element.
Yeah.
And that is such an interesting balance. I don't think I've ever seen a movie do that, where you have such realism juxtaposed. It's a modern-day not fairy tale, but it's a modern-day night story. Mm-hmm. And it really is so unbelievably unique. I would highly recommend it. I would highly recommend rewatching it.
Yeah.
And I would highly recommend watching other movies that these actors and actresses have done. They were all great. I can't wait to watch the rest of the Terry Gilliam movies that are on our list, the other two. And I can't wait I'll probably watch Brazil one of these weeks on my own, because you already have seen it and I have not.
Yeah.
And I would love to see that one. Final thoughts. I couldn't recommend it more. Mm-hmm. Everything's great. Start to finish. Gosh, I feel like all our reviews sound the same in the end. We got to start picking some. Well, no, we had Porky's.
Yeah, we had Porky's. But we all both agreed on that, too. I think that's a major problem. We got to find movies that could we know I haven't seen Time Bandits. Maybe you'll love it. Maybe I'll hate it. Maybe that's the thing. We don't know. But we just got to wait and see.
See, this is the problem with being too open-minded about shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I force myself to like something about everything.
Mm-hmm.
But regardless, maybe that'll be our new segment, is if I love the movie, what's one thing I can say about it that I didn't like?
Maybe.
We'll work on it. What's our Red Buttons MVP?
All right, well, I think this one's easy. It has to be Robin Williams. Bob Williams is the Red Buttons MVP of this movie. Michael Jeter could have stolen it could have stolen it if this movie was less good than it was, but has to go to Robin Williams.
I wouldn't argue Michael Jeter, honestly. Yeah. As great as, as much as I love Jeff Bridges and all, Michael Jeter does so much with such little time he's in there. When they're in the mental hospital, when he's in the mental hospital with Jack, in the waiting room or whatever, and he's flailing around and having essentially hysteria. It feels so real.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I figured that would be the Red Buttons MVP. What else do we have on the docket here?
Okay, so we have a new segment finally. Hopefully this one sticks. I decided to try to get back into screenwriting. I took it in college, and I basically just stopped doing it because I was, fear, or just I was lazy, depressed, whatever. So I thought I lost all my scripts because my brother cleaned out my closet that had all the scripts in it. But luckily, I saved them all to a hard drive. So I decided we're going to read the scripts out loud to you guys. So I've written these when I was a student. These may be cringy, these may be not. We don't know. Let's see how it goes.
A good actor can take any material,
yes.
Right? So it'll be on us.
Definitely. All right, so the title of the segment, I guess, is, student scripts.
That's good.
Yeah, we'll figure out a better title maybe later. So this first script was basically a rip-off I did. It was we basically did this exercise in writing classes where you take a scene from a movie and you riff off it. You just basically make it your own, do whatever you want. So this scene is based off the scene in Jaws where they're sitting around a table discussing the scars that they had throughout their lives. So let's do it. This one is called The Unicorn.
And you'll be playing?
I'll be playing Doink and I believe Smiley. No, I believe Doink and Bozo. You will play Smiley and Shakes, and I'll play the narrator.
Okay.
So here we go. Interior, clown bar, night, Doink, 38, and Smiley, 45, dressed in clown costumes, are at the bar drinking. Man, today was the worst. A kid bit me on the leg and left a mark. Doink puts his leg on the bar counter.
That is nothing.
Smiley rolls up his sleeves.
You see that big scratch? I was working with a monkey for a 12-year-old's birthday, and it freaked out when a brat pulled on a party popper.
Bozo, 36, dressed as a clown, walks up to Doink and Smiley and takes off his left shoe. That is nothing compared to this. A kid ran over my foot with a tricycle and left a skid mark on my foot.
You guys think that those are battle scars?
Doink, Bozo, and Smiley both look at the end of the bar and see a dark figure. You think you have one that is better, old man?
Yes, I do. The name is Shakes. Shakes the clown. What battle scar you got? It was April 19th, 1996. It was little Becky Simpson's 9th birthday party. It was a clear and sunny night with no cloud in the sky. It was like any other little girl's birthday party. The kids were running around and going crazy, and their parents were drinking and not paying attention to their kids. Everything was pink, glitter everywhere, and porcelain replicas of a unicorn. Little Becky was one of those spoiled brats who always got what she wanted, and she wanted me to make a life-size balloon animal of a unicorn. I told her I couldn't do that. But I made her a little unicorn balloon animal instead to calm her nerves, but she didn't like that. No, she wanted a life-size unicorn balloon animal, and she was not taking no for an answer. She grabbed one of the porcelain unicorns and hid it behind her back. She came up to me and she said, "Hey, Shakes, I want to tell you something." I crouched down to her level, right? Then she...
Doink, Bozo, and Smiley get closer to Shakes. What did she do? Shakes steps out of the shadow and takes off his eye patch.
She stabbed me in the eye.
Bozo pukes out handkerchiefs. Smiley's bow tie spins off his shirt. Doink breaks shoes curl up and he faints. Shakes then gets up from the bar.
Now that is a battle scar.
Shakes walks out of the bar with his shoes squeaking. The end.
Wow.
And that was Unicorn. That was one of the first rip-offs I wrote.
That was good.
Yeah.
That was pretty good for a little student scene. That's not bad.
Yeah. So I hope you guys like that. Pretty soon there'll be more. Hopefully more hilarious and more cringy. But I had fun with that. That definitely can be one of the things.
I think I'm going to start a segment where I call them highbrow reviews, where basically I review movies that are like stupid movies, but like from the perspective of a scholar.
Okay.
Like I once wrote a paper about how Predator is actually an anti-hunting rhetoric movie.
Yeah.
And how, hunting's fun until you're the game.
Okay.
You can cut that part out.
No, I'm keeping it in. Keeping everything in. Okay, so let's choose our next week's movie, everybody.
Yeah.
Spin the wheel, make the deal. Hopefully it's not a pole match. No, again. Come on, what is it? Damn it. Again, what is it? The Adventures of Baron Munchausen.
Hey, all right. We're sticking with Terry Gilliam. I'm excited.
Okay, well, I'm Mo, and I definitely can't sing like Michael Jeter.
And I'm TJ, and I've had enough moving clouds. It's very cold out here, and I'm going to put my pants back on.
Thank you. Okay, see you guys. Bye.
Take care.
And let's have Robert Mitchum play us out. If you like our podcast, then please like, subscribe, follow, or whatever you have to do to keep on listening. We're on SoundCloud, Spotify, and Anchor. And hopefully more podcast streaming services soon. You can follow us on Twitter at @it_dammit and on our Facebook page just titled It's Still New to Us. Why? Facebook hates us. That's why. Thank you for listening and hope you enjoyed the show.